For problem 19a, we have to consider the number 681. Before we represent the number with base 10 blocks, let's look at the number on the place value chart so we know the place value of each digit. For 681, we have a 6 in the hundreds place, 8 in the tens place, and 1 in the ones place. That means when I go to model my number using base 10 blocks, I think about having 6 copies of 100, 8 copies of 10, and 1 copy of ones. So we have to use the least amount of base 10 blocks to represent the number 681. Draw the diagram below. Use your diagram to answer the questions that follow. So to make sure I'm using the least amount of base 10 blocks, I want to match up my base 10 blocks with my place values. We said 6 was in the hundreds spot, so that's 6 copies of 100. We said 8 was in the tens spot, so that means plus 8 copies of 10, and 1 in the ones spot, so plus 1 copy of 1. 6 copies of 100 would be represented by 6 flats. 8 copies of 10 would be represented by 8 rods. And 1 copy of 1 would be represented by 1 small unit. The next question asks, what 2 flat numbers does this number lie between? Well, there's 6 flats, so we know that it lies between at least 600 and another number. The rest of the base 10 blocks don't quite add up to 1 more flat. But it's 8 rods and 1 unit, so it is more than half of a flat, which means the extra base 10 blocks are more than half of a flat, meaning they're closer to 700 than they are to 600. Because if you were to add 1 more flat onto 600, you would have 700, and we're more than halfway there. So we are between 600 and 700, so we are closer to 7 flats than we are to 6 flats, because our extra base 10 blocks is more than half of a flat. So it would be closer to filling up that 7th flat than it would be to going back down to the 6th flat.